Good afternoon, everybody. As I welcome you to LEAP Technology Day 2022, we find ourselves living in unprecedented times in terms of war, an energy crisis, climate change and the COVID pandemic. Inflation and cost of living crisis followed by interest rates on the rise. These represent a perfect storm of unprecedented disruption and volatility across the globe. However, during all the turmoil, there are fantastic innovative solutions emerging. You will have heard the saying, necessity is the mother of invention. In today's world, I believe necessity is acting as a catalyst for a paradigm shift where new transformative innovation that attacks wasteful energy consumption is key. This paradigm shift in thinking will lead to better environmental outcomes, reduced operational costs, while helping protect retailers' margins. This afternoon, we will want to share with you industry-leading insights into how you can tackle spiralling energy costs with our Panama Green LEAP-enabled upright cabinet. LEAP is the only plug-in technology in the market that can be installed at scale with low noise, low heat rejection and low energy consumption, and be adopted overnight with supermarket scale pack-out, replace the need for CO2 remote systems. This technology is achieving up to 70% energy efficiency when compared to remote systems. Our Head of Innovation will also demonstrate how LEAP technology will achieve your sustainability targets with climate-neutral natural refrigerants combined with ultra-low energy consumption. And finally, future-proof your business for impending F-gas environmental legislation and eco-minded customer of the future. As the revered Irish poet W.B. Yeats put it, all is changed utterly, a terrible beauty is born. I'm delighted to be joined here by three pioneers in their own respective fields. Firstly, recognised as a global genius when it comes to innovative store design, we'll share with you some insights into how effective store design can greatly reduce your energy costs and at the same time improve your sustainability credentials while driving sales growth.
Okay. Hello. I am Nathan Watts, Creative Director of Interstore Schweitzer. I'm joined with my colleague, Damien Zolokar, who is the Head of Research and Development of Interstore Schweitzer.
Hey,
hello. We're both standing in for Bernard Schweitzer, who unfortunately is traveling for business and sends his apologies for not being able to make it today. So we are going to talk about how creative store design can save on your energy on the retailer's energy consumption. Firstly, a brief introduction to who we are. Interstore Schweitzer, we are a global design and build business. In terms of our day-to-day business, we really develop the full idea to realization from a single source. We guarantee budgets and timelines, and we have a high degree of flexibility and speed to deliver full design and build projects almost anywhere in the world. So I'm going to talk about three broad topics or fields in terms of how we think design and creative thinking can help to solve for reducing energy costs for retail stores. The first one is to consider the life cycle. So here we're talking really about the entire process that we take as an organization that we believe is important to think before, during the life of the store, but also after the life of the store. And we think about making sure that we continually improve and refine every step of the design and build process, but we also tangibly try to reduce the impact of our clients through responsible store design practices. And so our low energy design and build cycle involves the full design and build, the design practice itself, the sourcing and the production of the elements and the products that we create as part of our design. Also the building and manufacturing in terms of our factory and our headquarters and our locations, making sure that we are energy efficient in those premises. And also, as we provide from a single source, we believe that we also can contribute to reducing the transportation costs of the shop fitting and the design that we provide our clients. And I would just make a note in terms of the overall principles that we think are important for sustainable design for retail. As I said earlier, the selection of materials, the creative application of recyclable materials is also an important element that we consider. When we think of the experience for the customer that we're trying to create in the store, we think there are several important creative areas that we can look at to help retailers. So, providing solutions for zero waste packaging, also encouraging the reuse of packaging through the store, also to promote, or as it were, nudge the customer to buy localized products, we think is an important thing, or also to promote or nudge through healthy lifestyle choices of the products they choose. All of these things have a knock-on effect to helping to reduce energy consumption in the broadest sense. Providing energy waste management, eco-architecture, and alternative sources of energy at the store are a critical consideration. And then coming to the furniture and the shop fitting, thinking about extending the life cycle, saving resources, and having energy efficient solutions. So the second point, and I touched on it just now, is architecture. We think this is a growing important area for retailers to think about on a very holistic level. I wanted to bring up a couple of examples here. One you may have seen, a fantastic example recently from Rewe at Wiesbaden in Germany, where they considered the architecture really as a completely carbon neutral environment in terms of also the construction of the store using kind of timber construction throughout the environment, and then with a glass house on the roof where they're also producing vegetables and plants for people to buy and take away in the store. The architecture also is really clever, intelligent kind of thinking around how to use the glazing system and the architecture to balance the climate control of the space. We also worked on a project at Harpstedt in Germany for Incorp with a similar principle, thinking about the architecture as a newly built environment for the client. Really important in terms of bringing natural daylight into the space to help control the climate, using again renewable timber structure as a kind of principle for that architecture. And then number three, one I want to dwell on a little bit longer, are the solutions in retail, the ways in which we can think about the solutions for shop fitting and cooling and display for effectively the elements that the customer is touching and feeling. And there are two key points in there. We want to talk first of all about the fact that we believe strongly that product is king for a retail environment. So we spend as much time as we possibly can thinking about how to make the products look as appealing as possible for the consumer. But at the same time, we really have to balance that against reducing energy costs in the space. So we spend a lot of time, with our research and development to really try to balance that kind of tension between, the strongest possible merchandising solutions, but in a cost or in an energy efficient way. And the second point, which is also very important to us, is the notion of providing flexibility. We think flexibility for the retailer is paramount. And so the solutions for food retail, the infrastructure and displays, we think are really key in terms of creating adaptable environments as a platform for the retailer, so they can make sure that they are constantly delivering against the needs of their customer, but with a low energy, in a low energy way. And I think, we have been talking a little bit about how do we think about why that's important to a retailer. And this diagram kind of explains a little bit behind the logic. So every time, in order to maintain customer satisfaction, which tends to drop off after a few years of a retail environment, it's necessary that the retailer has the ability to adjust the store where possible in order to meet new shopper demands. In order to make those adjustments to be commercially viable, then there has to be a flexible, low-cost, low-maintenance solution that enables the retailer to go about doing those changes that are necessary to maintain the customer satisfaction. this is a diagram that somewhat explains a little bit the background or the idea behind that. So if you take a traditional retail store, you have various departments. Some of them are dry goods, some of them are areas of chillers in islands, and then you have the fresh food departments dotted around the edges or in the middle of the store. But what often happens is after a while, new ideas or new food services need to be added, or at least there's a high desire or a point that we can start to bring in new food services to really support new trends that maybe the customer is trying to address for their customers. It could be that there's an extra requirement, which is the case that chilled food is an increasing proportion of the retail footprint. So often the retailer needs to continually add more and more refrigeration to their store. So that provides challenges in terms of how to address the changes that it makes in the layout. So this could be the store of tomorrow. So you could end up introducing new local partnerships, or there could be a sushi station or a new juice bar. There could be, for example, new organic vegetable assortments. So these kind of additions that are quite typical as retailers try to move on and develop and evolve their retail formats, they create problems for the retailer in terms of how to reimagine or continually evolve the footprint of that store so that it's still a commercially viable and operational store that really does the job of addressing the needs of the client, but still flexing in a way that is, as I said, cost effective and easy to maintain. So I just wanted to share with you also an example of ours that uses this flex store approach that Damien will go on and explain a little bit more about. So we have a system for this store. This is a store in Zurich by the Migros group. It's a one-off store, so it's a little bit of a special store. And for us, an incredible test bed of the innovation that we've developed for the flex store, which is effectively using plug-in furniture. It allows the entire store to be mobile. So every piece of equipment is effectively on wheels, and it means that this store, which has a theory behind it as a store which is a prototype store never done, which is how the operations team think of this store. It was always imagined as a space where they could continually bring in new offers, always testing a high degree of new food services with local partners. And this flexible backdrop, or the innovation behind the flex store, allows the retailer to really, adapt and change this layout very frequently. And in terms of the ability to do that, they're able to do it day to day, week to week, month to month, season to season. So even within some of the fresh food displays, we have the ability to shift some of the counter displays where the glass can push to the back or to the front, which enables some of those pieces of equipment to be served or to be self-served. And those are the kind of things that on a daily basis are important. But then there are parts of this store where there are footprints given to pop-up partners who can come in. So one week you may have a Vietnamese partner in there, and then maybe in the next season you're going to have a completely different food service. So every time a new partner comes in, there's a need to quickly and easily and without too much cost bring in their specialist equipment that allows them to serve the food that they're serving the customer. This is one of the examples of that of one of the food stations, one of many food stations in there. This is a pizza partnership that they've tested in the store. It's been so successful as one of their food partners. They're now rolling out the partnership into other Migros locations as a result of having tested and tried it here, which is kind of testament to the success of how the store format is helping them to test new partnerships and new innovation. I'm just going to hand over to Damien now. He's going to just give you a little bit more information about how this system effectively works.
Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, what is really, how to say, good for us also from technical side, that the customer is really living this opportunities and possibilities to change the layouts. We are going there approximately once per month, and really every time the layout of the store is different. And that means that the concept which we have started, the development which we have made with the customer is really working and they're using. And that is how to say the important statement which we have. As you see on the right pictures, of course, if you are talking about the flexibility, if you're talking about the constant changing of the layout, yearly basis, weekly basis, or even every 3 years, our journey, our path, or we are using plugins because plugins are the only, how to say, solution to be flexible. And we will hear a bit later by Novum presentation what does it mean, what they are offering, because we also know each other, because we are searching for partners and partnerships with such a companies. They can support our ideas on the market. And not only efficiency, energy consumption is a huge and big topic, not only at the moment, also in the future. We can say that the plugins are really, they have integrated cooling, they have short refrigerant lines. We are using only natural gases. We are R290. And you don't need a big, how to say, expensive central plants. The flexibility also by working labor are more, you have more flexibility because you don't need the engineer specialists and so on. But it is also the other aspects of, how to say, efficiency, which we have is in such a store, by building the store, by changing the layouts, because we are very fast. We are very fast by installation, easy maintenance, low life cyclist costs, and so on. And yes, we are also following the sustainable goals of the future. That means the next, how to say, step for us is also to have a good, how to say, possibility and good solution for the heat recovery, which is also a big topic in all of our stores by our customers, how to use the generated condensing heat in the store also for the further heating and cooling of the layouts. That is on the quick, because we will hear from Novum presentation a lot of technical aspects of the plugins and yeah.
So I guess just to kind of wrap up, we have been continually evolving our Flex Store solution, having first introduced it at EuroShop in 2020. In EuroShop 2023, we're going to have, and we'll be showcasing the latest version with the most up-to-date technologies and solutions. So we'll welcome all of you to come and visit us at EuroShop starting from the 26th of February. And we hope to see as many of you there as possible. So thank you very much.
Next up is Bob Krawchuk of Northwest Trading Company in Winnipeg, Canada. He's a pioneer, and this is not just an accident of geography, being in such proximity to the Arctic Circle, and by contrast, having many stores in the sweltering Caribbean. However, the Northwest Trading Company was the first customer to replace old inefficient remote systems with LEAP technology-enabled Panama Green cabinets. We are very proud to have Bob with us today. A customer of Novums for over 25 years, he will share with us his experience. Bob, if you don't mind, I'd kick off by asking you to tell us about the Northwest Trading Company.
Northwest Company has been around since 1668. We specialize in far remote areas within Canada, Alaska, South Pacific, and the Caribbean islands. We are a retailer. And when I say retailer, we're into grocery, general merchandise. We even have a motorized division where we sell snowmobiles, quads, boats, motors. Yeah, and we service all these communities in this fashion. And we've been doing this for 350 some years.
What pains were you trying to address by adopting Panama Green?
The big one, which really benefited us with the Panama Green is, being that we deal in the high Arctic of Canada, far Arctic of Alaska, a lot of the small villages within Alaska, whenever you put a refrigeration system in there, the key thing now is what's the flight schedules to get a technician that's qualified to work on refrigeration to get them to this site. So the cost of the flights are expensive. You get the technician to the site, he assesses the issue on the refrigeration system, finds that, say, for example, the compressor is blowing. Now he's going to fly it back to the south, order the compressor, take it, go fly back there to put it in and fix the refrigeration. So there's the loss of product, the loss of sales, the high cost of flights and labor. That a compressor replacement can be anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000. The nice thing with the Panama Green is you have the cassette. And if you got a 3-door Panama Green, you got 3 cassettes. It takes about 15-20 minutes to change a cassette. So for us to send a technician there, even if we send it to look at the Panama Green, we usually keep cassettes on site. It takes them like 15 minutes to change it out, and you're back in business.
What has been your experience to date?
The experience today has been very well. It works very well for us. Whenever we order cases for a specific store in a remote area, we usually send 1-2 cassettes that they're on site already. So worst case, if a refrigeration tech cannot get to site quick enough, a lot of these communities might have an electrician, they might have what I call a handy Andy or a local Larry that can change that out for them in 15 minutes. We do have a nice video that you provided, Novum provided for us, to show how to change a cassette. Worst case, I would send that video to the store manager, and they would find somebody handy locally that could follow that video and change that cassette out.
What has been the major outcomes?
On the maintenance side of things, of course, it's pretty much nil because the units run very well. And again, if you do have an issue with a cassette, it's easy to change it quickly. On terms of the energy savings, there's definitely energy savings to be had. We did 2 pilot projects in Northern Canada. In the Arctic, Politic was one and the Klavik was another one. I don't have actual numbers to share with you, but I can tell you just by what we had seen in our overall energy consumption that it's greatly reduced our energy consumption by switching to the Panama Green over a traditional self-contained unit or conventional unit.
How do you see this technology helping your business in the future?
I see us using it more and more. And again, a lot of it relates to the cassette and how quickly that cassette can be changed out and how easy it is to just stock a cassette, because the cost of the cassette is not expensive. And so it's affordable to keep 1 or 2 cassettes on site so that you can quickly fix that unit and not have all this downtime and loss of sales and loss of product. The other thing I really like about the Panama Green too is when you have the 3-door unit and you have 3 cassettes on top of that unit, should one cassette go down, you don't drastically increase the temperature in the case because you still have 2 other cassettes that are running, trying to maintain to get to that temperature. So you're not losing all this food as if the whole unit went out. Because if it went out at night, you'd lose everything by morning. Whereas it kind of hobbles, for lack of a better word, on the other 2 units until you could recognize that one unit is down, and then you change the unit out.
Finally, we have the man behind Leap Technology, our very own Owen Lennon, Director of Innovation and Sustainability, who will demonstrate how Leap-enabled freezers will drastically reduce your energy costs while being easy and quick to install.
Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Novum showroom. I'd like to introduce you today to our full glass door product range, the Panama Green and the Panama Slim, which provides a highly efficient supermarket size full pack out option for you to implement virtually overnight. If you're considering replacing your old inefficient F-gas, high maintenance, low temp cases that you have and on your sites at the moment, but you need to be able to install something quick no downtime in your store. We can provide a much more cost-effective solution that can be implemented literally overnight. Our Panama Green, which is a full-size 30-inch door case, full depth, the most efficient upright case of its type on the market. The only one Energy Star approved in the US. It's got a sleek, multiplex frameless glass door appearance, so the lineup will appear completely normal with these ultra glossy doors, highly efficient, fully passive doors with our patented door frame technology to reduce energy even further. For these cases, we've designed them specifically to have extremely low noise levels, extremely low heat rejection, which is a benefit that comes off from the extremely low energy consumption. Each door is only using less than 6 kilowatts per day, including lighting. It's your total energy usage. Each door is also fitted with an individual cassette unit. So maintenance can easily be done without demerchandising the case, without the need for fully qualified refrigeration technicians. It can be done by any competent maintenance guys, general maintenance that is. That is the cassette unit as a complete refrigeration system for the Panama Green. Your compressor, condenser fan. The condenser is ventilated wire on tube, virtually maintenance free, doesn't need routine cleaning. Inside here is the evaporator section in its own insulated box. So this is mounted on the top. Your evaporator is outside the food chamber. So when you go to defrost, you're not heating the entire case. You're not heating the food or the air temperature in the case. You're only heating the evaporator coil, which is conveniently mounted in its own housing on the cassette unit. So we turn off the fan during defrost. We can heat this coil very quickly, very effectively, very thoroughly, without impacting the temperature of the case at all. So that gives us huge energy gains. Traditional systems have the evaporator coils in the base of the case, or in some up in the top. So when you try to defrost, you're fighting the cold in the case. As you heat the evaporator coil, the heat rises up into the case, and the cold air sinks into the evaporator. So your defrost takes a long time. And with electric heat on defrost, you're using a lot of power, huge power, to defrost those coils. Then you got to try and melt that ice and run it out of the case through drains in the floor without it freezing. And we all know the issues around frozen drains. With our case, there's no drains, there's no plumbing, there's no wiring. The installation is simply one plug, one domestic plug. Powers that whole cabinet. It is so efficient. Run on a standard power cord. The other gain is the cassette unit can be unbolted and simply replaced should you have a fault without demerchandising the case. That's the cassette. Instead, individual cassette unit per door. It's only 2.5 grams or 65 grams of refrigerant in each one. Fully natural. All our cases have natural refrigerants only. Our preference is propane or 290. So it's only 65 grams or 2.3 ounces in that unit, but it's fully hermetically sealed. The leakage rates are virtually nil. All your F-gas worries, they'll just go away overnight by switching out your old systems for our new Panama Green upright cases. Each unit, as I said, is an individual unit per door. Each one is individually controlled. It's controlling the temp on each door. We have an acrylic divider between each, so when you open the door, you only lose the air from one door. And only one very small, very efficient compressor starts up. Not one large one or one huge one out in your plant room, just one small compressor. That's how we get the low noise, which peak noise on this machine is only 49 dB. That varies when different compressors are in and out to between 46 and 49 when they're running. They only run approximately 50% of the time. So you get very low running hours on the compressors. They're very quiet because it's a small compressor. We've got small condensers, small condenser fans, so the heat rejection from these machines is minimal. So these can be implemented. Pump down your old cases at the close of business at the end of the day. Your store closes, demerchandise your old cases, pump down the cases, take them out, wheel in our new Panama Greens. Your sockets pre-done, plug them in. You can be fully stocked and re-merchandised by opening time in the morning. No loss of sales, and all your old, inefficient, high maintenance cases are gone overnight. We can also complement that with our chest freezer selection to go with it. The Grand Cayman. Again, full cassette, removable in minutes. There's the cassette unit here for the Grand Cayman. Slightly different arrangement, but the same thing. Compressor, condenser, evaporator fans, condensate and burn off trays, all that. So fully plug in, no drainage issues, no plumbing, no wiring, just an ordinary socket to plug it in. That gives you a full depth, full glass, self-contained chest freezer for your island to complement the full glass door suite. We also have our smaller line range chest freezers for small convenience stores and a matching cassette to go with that. The 3 cassettes cover our entire range, all on R290 refrigerant, fully natural. There's only 50 grams in that one, 65 in both of these. So with our LEAP technology, the Novum patented LEAP technology, you can save up to 70% energy savings against your old remote system. And it's doable at a lower cost and overnight, on scale, even full large hypermarket size stores. There's no reason not to. And this is our Panama Slim. It's a slimline version of our Panama Green. Same cassette, same technology, same door size, same everything, except it's not as deep. It's an 800mm deep version for narrower, more compact stores. Has all the same features and benefits. But what I also want to demonstrate on this one is it has our multi-zone option, whereby you can set 2 doors at either freezer or chiller, and 1 door at the opposite temperature, or any combination thereof, simply at the press of a button. To change from freezer mode, LT mode, to chiller, just press the down arrow button, NT gets displayed. That door is now set for chill. You do the same on this one, chill. So we now have 2 doors set for chill and 1 still set at frozen. And I just want to demonstrate that by turning off the main lights because they're so bright. And we just have some coloured lights inside to give you the visual impact. So we've got these 2 doors set for chill, this one set for frozen. And by pressing the buttons and changing, you can set either all 3 doors for chill, or 1 door for chill, 2 doors for frozen, or all 3 for frozen. So you can have any combination that you like, 2 on chill, 1 on frozen, or the other way around, or all on chill. The options are yours at the press of a button.
Question and answer session. I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Chesero from Sheco, Atmosphere. Welcome, Mark. Mark, can I ask you to introduce yourself and your mission in Atmosphere, please?
Hi, everyone. Yes, so Atmosphere, formerly known as Sheco, is an independent global market accelerator for natural refrigerant-based technologies, and that applies to refrigeration as well as heat pumps and chillers and more. So we are on a global mission to try and bring these more sustainable solutions to market faster. And we support investors, we work with end users, and we also work with leading technology providers that have these solutions and help them bring these products faster to market. And obviously, Novum is one of our partners in this space.
We had a few questions in earlier. I'll start with this one. Your technology works well in very cold climates in the Arctic, as an example. How does it perform in warmer climates? Maybe Owen, I'll let you answer that one.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Yeah, that's actually a good question. With our LEAP technology cabinets, you'll get the same energy efficiencies regardless of where the store is located, whether it's in California or north of the Arctic Circle, doesn't matter. You'll still get the same efficiencies because we're based on propane, and all our design and our LEAP technology airflow system, you'll still get the same efficiencies regardless. Not like CO2 that may go transcritical in very high ambient conditions. Ours doesn't get affected by location. So I hope that answers the question.
All right, thanks, Owen. There's a long question in here from Jonas Madsen. Thank you, Jonas. If the whole cabinet is multiplexed and you set one of them in a different temp class, e.g. M1, and the rest in L1, how do you manage the whole products in the cabinet of M1 will not be affected by the low climate cabinets?
Okay, there's a difference between our new multi-zone option, which has a dividing wall between two of the doors. So one side can be run independently of the other two. So we can have our chill on one side with all chiller parameters, defrost settings, fan control, all that to give optimum temperature, product temperature control under chill conditions on one side, and frozen, all the freezer settings are on the other side, and that'll be maintained correctly. In the normal Panama Green, without the multi-zone, you must set all 3 doors or all 2 doors, depending on whether it's 2-door or 3-door cap, to the same temperature. There is a perspex or an acrylic divider between the doors, but you must maintain the same temperature on all 3, whether it's chiller or freezer. Our cabs are dual temp. They're set for both low and medium back pressure and can run as either chiller or freezer. The multi-zone gives you the option then on having individual doors set at different temperatures. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thanks, Owen. Another question here from Jeppe Lisberg. Any numbers how more efficient R290 is on average compared to a CO2 solution? Is an average retail store with chill and freezer units? Any analysis here? Would like to take that, Owen, again?
Yeah, we've had both independent verification, and also if you look at the DOE website in America, where you can compare directly CO2 and normal remote cases against our Energy Star rated Panama Green, you'll see up to 70% energy savings compared to other systems. So even against direct competitors, self-contained competitors, which we've benchmarked against ourselves, best in class, we've found we're 55% better than the next best in class, volume for volume. Plug-in, yeah. So both against plug-in and other remote systems, we're much more efficient.
All right. One of the questions that came in earlier was maybe relating to, maybe Mark, you can answer this one. What is F-gas regulation coming in, or when is F-gas regulation coming in? When in reality do you think F-gas will be phased out globally?
So the F-gas regulation's been around for 20 years in Europe, and it's the leading regulation worldwide, really, that's kind of driven the market in commercial refrigeration. It's now being revised, and the European Commission proposed an update to this F-gas regulation back in April, and now it's going through the decision-making process in Brussels, where there's a number of different institutions that are looking at it. And currently, the European Parliament is looking at this. And this is going to go back and forth between different institutions, and we expect a new updated regulation to be approved this time next year, with it applying, updating the law and the bans and deadlines, GWPs, so forth, from 1st of January 2024. That's the most likely outcome. In the current discussion, like very fresh, literally last week, in the European Parliament, there is an individual called a rapporteur, a member of the Parliament, is tasked with modifying the original Commission proposal. And this particular individual is very knowledgeable of the refrigeration industry, because he was already rapporteur 10 years ago and the last time it was updated. And he has proposed some pretty radical bans in his draft report that will be voted on in January. Basically, he is of the opinion that all HFCs and new systems for self-contained refrigerators and freezers for commercial use can be banned from January 1st, 2024. You can't get more radical than that, I would argue. If that stays, this is a huge change. His argument is that, natural refrigerants, propane, CO2, can easily fill that gap with new systems for these applications. They're already more efficient. There are already many companies in the market with these solutions. So I would say that would be the thing to really pay attention for from a Novum point of view, and Novum customer base and partnership network. So this is exciting to see that you have such a strong advocate in the Parliament pushing for this type of legislation. This will only boost demand for natural refrigerant-based technologies. And Novum, with its LEAP technology, and I'm quite familiar with the technology, having met with the Novum team over the years, is really well placed to leverage that huge market growth that's coming. Now, worldwide, everyone's watching what the EU is doing. Next week, there's a big UN Montreal Protocol meeting in Montreal, in Canada this time, and they're all paying attention to what the Europeans are doing, because that's the leading market. The next market to switch over in commercial refrigeration to natural refrigerants, propane and CO2, depending on the types of formats you're looking at in stores and so forth, will be the US market. And there's a lot of interest, a lot of players that are trying to see to get into the US market and bring this new technology. So, you know, we expect now to answer the question about will F-gases be banned outright globally, I think there's a general phase down of high GWP HFCs across the globe through the Montreal Protocol, but that's over several decades, depending on where you are in the market. And with the fast movers in Europe going first, America following, you can expect that transition in practice to happen a lot sooner because the technologies are available, more efficient, more reliable, and at volume, just at the same price as current technology, as HFC technology. So the technologies will go faster than legislation, is what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm really answering that question or answering more than that question, but
I think you've done a great job, Mark. Thank you very much. Can I just ask you about where you see the UK? There'll be a number of people in the audience from the UK.
Yeah, I mean, the UK, following Brexit, has its own regulatory process, but we've talked with DEFRA over the last couple of years, and you know, they're following Brussels very closely, and the expectation is that they're about a year behind in terms of decision making, in terms of updating the regulations. But whatever happens in Brussels will have an impact in London. But the feedback that we're getting is that they're going to be a little bit less ambitious than what could possibly come out of Brussels. But this is evolving all the time, so it's not written in stone at this stage.
Okay.
Despite the claims of trying to be a leader on the climate solution, it's not really happening in practice.
Mark, thank you. I think there's another question here that is probably aimed at you as well. When will the EN 378 be updated and implemented in order to increase the charge limit of R290? Do you get that one? Is that
For
one?
Commercial, it's been updated. It's been updated, right? Owen would know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's already been implemented. The charge limit was increased to 350 grams.
Wow.
But the largest system we have is only 65 grams. So it didn't really affect us. But it is of great importance, I think, to the heat pump industry, mostly.
Yeah.
Where it will allow a much greater adoption of propane R290 in the heat pump sector, which I think is key globally for climate change going forward. Could be very important.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. Heat pumps, the smaller heat pumps are all going to go propane. And there are massive players involved in bringing those solutions to market. The most public ones are just in the last few months, Viessmann announcing propane heat pumps, Panasonic announcing propane heat pumps. You know, these are small fish, and there are many other players. There was a big trade show, Chillventer, a couple of weeks ago in Germany, where there were a multitude of players offering propane heat pumps and CO2 and ammonia of different sizes, but generally the vast majority are going to be propane. And this is really great, and the standards have been updated to accommodate for that as well. So there's going to be a direct competition between, say, propane and R32 heat pumps, and the expectation is that propane will take over. So this is the next sector to go natural.
Another one here. What scale of install are we talking about in regards to Panama Green? What are the limiting factors, if any? Your best position to answer that one, Owen?
I'm doing well here today and getting lots of questions. Yeah, there's no real limit on the scale. But our Panama Green, the traditional thinking has always been that large supermarkets and hypermarkets, remote systems were the only way to go. They were the default. There wasn't really much question about it. But now with the need to implement changes quicker and replace out old systems with their HFC refrigerants and so on quickly and cost effectively. Our Panama Green solution, combined with our Grand Cayman, all our LEAP technology cases, offers a very good alternative that can be implemented, as I said in the video, overnight, and change out all your F-gas remote systems for natural refrigerant R290 solutions that are going to save you money rather than actually cost you money.
Thank you all. There's an anonymous attendee who's asked a question. How important is the EU Environmental Rapporteur's view of pushing forward faster F-gas elimination? What is the likelihood of adoption of faster F-gas elimination at EU level? Mark, are you able to handle that one, please?
Yeah, no problem. So this rapporteur is a guy called Bas Eickhout. He's Dutch, Green MEP, Vice President of the Environmental Committee, which is the Environment Committee, which is the most powerful committee in the European Parliament. As an individual, he's the most important person anywhere in Europe right now for the next year when it comes to the F-gas project, as an individual. Because he will be proposing changes, there'll be votes on his amendments, and he will be negotiating with member states, with all the 27 countries of the EU over the next few months. So he as an individual is super important. His opinion really matters. Now, his draft that came out a week ago, of course, it's not going to stay as it is because there's going to be a lot of lobbying, a lot of interest, a lot of money at stake here. So it will evolve over the next few months. But if you look at history and trends and his influence and so forth, you can expect that his version that's come out now, which is a lot more advanced than, well, is more advanced than the original Commission proposal. After the compromises of the EU system over the next 12 months, you can expect it to still be better than the original Commission proposal. Okay, now that's the legal text. Now, in terms of perception, it's a super important message. It's saying that basically HFCs are done in commercial refrigeration. Move over, go to natural. End of story. And very important point to remember here is that he's a chemist. Why does that matter? Because HFOs, these new synthetic blends that are being sold left, right, and center right now as replacements for HFCs, basically there are a number of members of the EU, member states of the EU have done their due diligence and published reports and have identified health and environmental risks associated to HFOs. They're considered to be forever chemicals when they decompose, or PFAS chemicals. And this is a big deal. This is a serious concern for HFOs, which will then mean that any end user or investor who is thinking long-term and future-free will be uncertain about the future of HFOs simply because they could be banned for other reasons than global warming. And which then makes life a lot easier for naturals, and propane are super well placed to take that market share. And obviously Novum is very well placed there with their new ever expanding LEAP technology. That's a long answer to a short question, but hopefully it helps.
Thank you, Mark. Fair play to you. All right, we're coming towards the end of the session. There was another question in a bit earlier about this paradigm shift that I was talking about in my piece earlier on. Look, I think that's been supported by the various contributions that have been made here today. Like never before, we've a confluence of factors or shocks into the system. To name a couple: climate change, F-gas regulation, energy crisis, cost of living crisis, you name it, they're all there, which is generating demand for innovative solutions like our LEAP technology that can be adopted overnight. So there isn't time. I think that's what we're seeing, a huge shift in position. What's that? Retailers want to sell more product. I think the quality of product, I think what Schweitzer Nathan referred to earlier, that would be at the heart of what we do in terms of how we present frozen food in a very special, high quality way. We want to save money, which is important, sell more product, and put cash back in retailers' pockets. So by way of conclusion, the way we're seeing it here, the way we'd like to work with people that are interested as a result of this webinar is to go out there and do energy audits to help discover the potential opportunity in terms of reduced energy that we can deliver with our technology, and that can be done overnight, which we're seeing happening with our customers as they come on board. That overnight solution, we move in the afternoon, the old systems are removed, ours is wheeled in, plugged in, merchandised, and ready for the customer the following morning. That sounds like a winner. To help lubricate the whole thing, we've been engaging with a global finance provider, and from our early work, it is emerging that we can offer inverted commas free upgrades. That's what that means. It's possible to save more money in energy costs than it is to fund the savings in energy costs are more than the repayments on the finance plans. Okay, that's what it's emerging so far from the work we've done. So that has a very simple impact of putting cash back into retailers' pockets overnight, and I think that's a sort of exciting. We're discovering this ourselves. It's pretty fresh. Okay, what's coming out. So going back to W.B. Yeats, one of our esteemed poets that I quoted earlier, all is changed utterly. A real beauty is born. He said a terrible beauty is born, but I think we have a real beauty born here in the whole LEAP technology. So with LEAP technology, I think you can hear what it's saying. The big message is we can achieve up to 70% energy savings when compared with remote systems, be they old or new. That's something I think really worth taking home and can be done overnight. And against the best-in-class plugins out there, we can achieve 55% energy savings compared with them. So there's a premium there. And we can have huge multiplex rows of installations. There's no limit, I think Owen said earlier on, in terms of what we can achieve. And one of the biggest installations we have is going on in LA very soon. It's 150 upright doors in one particular store. So it's a fair lot of low temp refrigeration going in. Plus 60 of our Grand Caymans. Thanks, Owen. So that's enough of sales from me. Really like to thank Damien and Nathan from Schweitzer. You did Bernard proud. Okay, thank you very much. That was really fantastic. That flex store and the smart architecture, the shop fittings, the level of professionalism and detail and creativity is fantastic. Thank you very much. Obviously, Bob's from Northwest Trading Company. He's a character, as you can see. These are real pioneers. They operate in really challenging territories. Great people to work with over the years, and I suppose a testament to their bravery. There was one of the first supermarket chain to take on Panama Leap upright, and it's been a great success for them. And last but not least, we have very grateful to Mark Chesrow. He's a fountain of knowledge, passionate about the adoption of natural refrigerants, not just in refrigeration, but in a whole lot of other applications. So Mark, you're doing the world a favor, and thank you very much. Looking forward to joining Schweitzer and others at EuroShop come February next year. And you'll be very welcome to visit us there as well. We look forward to having great conversations and taking this to another level. So as a sign off, thanks to everybody. Thanks to Owen, by the way, Owen Lennon. Geez, I'm sure to leave out somebody. If I have, it's unintentional. Just want to thank everybody, production team, everybody involved here. Thank you.